Alright, this is log 3, garden prep. Now, there are 4 things on my garden prep to-do list. 1, de-weed the garden. 2, add soil or compost. 3, put a barrier / little fence around the garden. And 4, make frost cloths. I'll explain that later. So let's start with de-weeding the garden. So just a quick pixely overview of all the weeds in my garden. Also real quick, I just wanted to show my strawberry plant that I planted last year, and I believe it's an alpine strawberry plant, so there's already like little strawberries growing on it and it's so cute. I'm like really excited about that. But anyway, some gardeners have different opinions when it comes to de-weeding the garden. Some like to just leave the weeds there and not really disturb the soil, aka like the no-till method of gardening. But if the area that you're using, like back in 2023, I hadn't gardened in over 10 years at that point, so the garden area was just hard as a rock, okay? Like I had to dig up all the soil, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to plant in it. So if your soil's super hard, you're gonna wanna dig it all up, and you're definitely going to want to add soil. And when I say add soil, I mean like buying soil from the store and adding it into your garden and mixing it into the surrounding soil. That way it will enrich your garden with more nutrients and make the dirt more favorable for the plants. But if you've been gardening for a couple of years or whatever, and the soil is soft enough, that sort of thing, then you don't really have to dig up all the soil every single year. All I do is take out the weeds, which is enough digging up, and it's more surface level. And for me, I just use like a small shovel and I just get in there. I try and get as much roots as possible to pull them out of the garden. That way they will not grow back or grow back less. Otherwise, I'm going to be de-weeding the garden constantly. And I don't have time for that. Now let me talk about the grubs for a second. So this year, thankfully, when I was digging up the weeds, I didn't find any grubs. Grubs are like the worst. And if you find any in your garden, they look really gross, like ginormous larvae. You need to yeet them out because they will eat your plants and stuff. I know that I said that I was gonna add soil and compost and that it's on the checklist, but because I've done that consistently for the past 2 years, the soil is really good, and in the fall I add like fresh compost into the ground. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of compost that you can throw in your garden. The compost that I added to the garden, like potato skins, tea bags, eggshells, that kind of thing, and I would just like dig holes, put the compost in there and cover them back up. Simple as that. And then over winter they disintegrate. I was also very pleased to see plenty of worms as I was digging up the soil, because as you may know, worms are very good. Earthworms are very good for your garden. Now, while I was de-weeding the garden, I ended up finding 3 lettuce plants. I did not plant them. I think they just kind of like came over, like blew over from my neighbor's garden into mine and started growing, like the seeds or whatever. So I was just like, So I dug them up and I replanted them in a different spot since they were kind of just in random spots. So we'll see how that goes. I was like, what a nice surprise. Wasn't planning on planting any lettuce, but there it is. And yeah, it looks kind of wilted, but it's because it was hot, and when I dug them up, they were kind of just sitting there in the sun, so they'll perk up, it's fine. Alright, now that the garden is cleaned out and there's no more weeds, I need to put in a fence, some sort of barrier, because this will help keep out pests. For me, the biggest pest that I have is my dog. Now, you don't have to do this, but I do recommend it, because even back in the day when I was gardening, I do recall my garden being ravished every now and again by animals. But yeah, this will keep out pests from getting into your garden and stealing your food that you've worked so hard to grow. And I just got this like, it's just a net. It's like a thin net, but it's actually stronger than you would think. And I just got it from like the dollar store Comes in like a roll of 35 feet. I use these like wooden stakes and I hammer those into the ground with a rubber mallet. Then I just drape the net over top and secure it with zip ties. And I'm not gonna lie, so I saved this garden net from last year, like from the roll that I got last year, and I thought it was gonna be enough, and it was not. And I didn't have time that day to go and get more garden net. So yeah, technically my garden is not fully netted in like it should be, but I'll fix that later. For now, what I put up is fine. And if you are gonna put up a net or a barrier or something, you don't necessarily have to have it as tall as what mine is, because I won't lie, it is kind of a pain in the ass getting in and out of the garden when it's like this. But I do it this much so that my dog can see it and not go near it. Okay, so this is Seedling Checkin number 4. Our tomatoes are looking quite good. They have some true leaves now. I kind of waited a little bit longer just to get the true leaves in there. But yeah, they're looking pretty good. Their stems are looking quite good. Also, when true leaves of the plant show up, the plant starts to smell like what the mature plant smells like. If you know what tomato plants smell like, then you know what I'm talking about. Same thing with like the marigolds. Pretty much like every plant has a specific smell. I don't know, I like it. It's nostalgic to me. Also, my seedlings, as they grow, I like to run my fingers over the top of them so that it kind of simulates what the conditions will be when they're outside. You know, get that movement. It helps strengthen their stems, which is really important. You don't want fragile stems that'll snap. So I kind of try and do that like every day with them. So in some of my tomato containers, they have like 3 seedlings at different stages. So I kind of wanted to show that, just to show the different stages that they kind of grow at. You have like just the cotyledon leaves, and then you have the cotyledon leaves with really tiny true leaves starting to grow in. And then you have them at a much larger stage where they're kind of like a full seedling. So I just thought that was cool. Okay, we also have some of our spices that have sprouted. My basil has started to sprout. Basil seedling sprouts with their cotyledon leaves, they look really cute. Like, they're very unique looking. The thyme has also started to sprout. Again, like, the thyme cotyledon leaves look very similar to the basil cotyledon leaves. I wonder why that is. I'm like, is it because they're both spices? And they actually kind of look like the broccoli cotyledon leaves as well. Like, I feel like it has to be what kind of genome, that is so not the word, but like whatever category they're under determines what the cotyledon leaves will look like. That's what I'm thinking anyway. So my broccoli had a bit of an accident when I was filling up the pot more, and I kind of like broke the stem of the bigger one a little bit. So I used a piece of aloe vera leaf, cut it in half, and kind of like tried to stitch it up. This usually works really well. Aloe vera plants are very good for helping develop roots on other plants. However, I don't really know if it will survive. Okay, and now we have our beautiful marigolds, which as you can see are starting to flower. I have about 5 plants in that pot, so that's why it looks so bushy. Our strawberries in the brown pot are just doing amazing. They're getting really big now. They have a bunch of true leaves and they're getting quite tall, which is good that we didn't put the soil too high to the top, because the edges of the pot kind of stabilize it a little bit, stabilize the plants. But there's a bunch of little strawberry plants in there. Obviously some are bigger than others, but generally they're all doing really well. Now my fridge strawberries in the black container, they're doing well also, but they are growing a lot more slowly. Again, I wonder if it has to do with the amount of time I let the seeds dry for when I saved them. I don't know, it must have something to do with that. Because the other fridge strawberries, like, I let those seeds dry out for months, versus these ones which only dried out for like 2 days-ish. but they also have true leaves. They're just smaller, obviously. They're not at the big stage yet. Alright, our seedlings are doing good, so hopefully they continue to do good, but there's always trouble in paradise somewhere. I don't have high hopes for my broccoli right now, okay? But we'll keep a close eye on them. Now, after I finished outside, I had some more work to do inside, and I'm basically trying to make frost cloths, plant cloths, whatever. There's so many different names for them, but it's basically a thin sheet of fabric that you can put over top of plants to protect them from frost and, you know, harsh sunlight, harsh rain, basically the elements. Because my biggest thing that I've had trouble with over the past couple years of gardening and growing my own seeds is transplanting the seedlings into the garden. I've tried the hardening off process. I'll talk more about that in the next video, but it just never really works out for me, and once I stick the plants in the garden, it's just do or die. Literally. They either survive through that harsh sunlight and the elements and stuff, or they don't. And it's really frustrating when you already put in so much work trying to keep them alive. So I'm just using this old bed sheet that I found in the linen closet, and I'm cutting them into circles because I'm planning to use a stake in the garden, right? Put the stake in and then wrap this fabric around the stake and secure it so that it will be like a tent for the plants. And hopefully that will work to protect them from the harsh elements so that they can survive in the garden until they start to harden into the ground. Now, you can buy frost cloths, of course, but I mean, I went into my linen closet and found an old bed sheet, so why not use that? It's free. Because the gardening process, I feel like, should get cheaper every year and not more expensive. So that is it for my garden prep. Next video I think will be log 4? Question mark? Transplanting and direct sowing, okay? So that'll be hard to film. Okay, bye!